Those folks have done just a wonderful job. You're seeing a bit of the work that they've done here on the monitors, and you probably heard a lot about what was happening this morning with the rover contest. Hard to believe it's been less than 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks since we saw you last, and they've accomplished so much. This is truly an amazing group. It's been a superb summer. This is our 8th year, so we've been through this a lot of times. We've seen a lot of groups of people coming who know about it from personal experience with us and the family. We had 42 students this year, up from our starting size of 18 back in 1990. We've got 30 high schools, which pretty much cover the state from Tooele to Taviona and Ogden area, all the way south to Centerville and Hurricane. A lot of students have been living a long way from home this summer and seem to have done just fine, hopefully. I don't mean stayed in that sense, and I don't mean stayed because they all stayed all night last night. But STAID, they're a serious group. There were lots of laughs and a lot of good times, but they were serious about getting their work done. Talented group. I mentioned their GPA, but the quality of their work was excellent. This was the highest set of scores we've ever gotten on rovers, and a couple of our TAs who were students a couple of summers ago ran their old rovers and were a bit embarrassed to admit what their scores were. And they were the 2 top rovers 2 years ago, I might add. So, parents, you should be proud. You have some really sharp students here. So that's S&T. A is attentive, and I think this probably is the thing that makes me and you parents probably as pleased as anything. They were definitely here to learn. There were no behavior problems. So they paid attention to our lecturers, our guests, which really is great for me. And again, when we have guest speakers, it's really great to have the students asking questions and letting the speakers know that they're interested in paying attention. And this group really was. It was fun to watch. And D for dedicated, worked hard. People here at 8 in the morning and 8 at night throughout the whole program, not just yesterday when they were trying to get their rovers up and running. So a great group, and I applaud all of you, and parents, you should do the same. I'd like to do a few thank yous before we move on to our guest for today. First thank you has to go to Mary, who really runs the show. Mary takes care of lunches. That's what you see and smell and taste and all, but she does a heck of a lot more things that are going on behind the scenes. She's my right arm, left arm, and mind. So I appreciate Mary. Sponsors. We have lots of sponsors who have contributed a great deal to this program. National Science Foundation being the first, and they contribute to the program in 2 directions. We have money from what's called the Young Scholars Program, which is done now. This was the end. We have just a little bit left. And also through a program that I mentioned when you were here before, the Science and Technology Center for Computer Graphics and Scientific Visualization, which University of Utah is one of the 5 schools. And that's where the bulk of our funding comes from, and you're looking at a $100,000 program here when you consider everything that goes into it, people and equipment and various other things. So it's pretty major funding. All of that doesn't come from National Science Foundation. We have the Department of Computer Science, of course, and the College of Engineering contribute a considerable piece of that. Bob Kessler, I don't know if Bob made it, chairman of the department, has been an important part of this program for many years, and we appreciate his support. Robert McDermott, who you saw off and on, does a lot behind the scenes as well as being a guest speaker, helping us with videos and pictures, etc., etc. and I guess Robert didn't make it. We've got a big thing going next week, a site visit for the Science and Technology Center. And so a lot of people are pretty deep with all of that. Other sponsors, Evans and Sutherland has helped us out financially. Some of those sponsors who you students will really appreciate. Domino's Pizza, Famous Amos Cookies, and Snowgroves Ice Cream, right? You can thank Mary for those too. A lot of faculty members, a lot of guest speakers. The operators, Mike Milichek, who does the photography, and we hope we'll get some pictures for you. And last, but by no means least, I want to recognize once again Rich Riesenfeld and Elaine Cohen, who are in charge of the Alpha One program, and really it's because of them that this whole thing is even started in the first place. So thank you both. And thank all of those. Okay, a couple more things before lunch. One is we have a guest speaker today, and the guest is a former chairman of the Computer Science Department, Tom Henderson. Tom has participated in the program as a guest speaker in past years. He's supported the program as chairman of the department, and we really appreciate all that he's done. His area of research is robotics, and I guess a little computer vision mixed in there. And he's going to tell you a little bit about some of the things that he's been involved in, and give you yet another piece of information that you can put in on your list of things that might be of interest to you when you start making career decisions and decisions about what subject you want to study as a college student. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tom. Thank you, Tom.
What is really AI? Maybe you've heard some things about it, but at first glance you say artificial intelligence. That's what AI is. And this year there have been some notable achievements. Big Blue came along and crushed, I guess, Kasparov. So is Big Blue AI? Well, it really can't be, because it's like Big Blue, that's BB. We're an acronym-driven field, so that can't be. But the Mars rover, now that's getting closer to my area a little bit better. And it really brings to mind what brought me into AI, which is that it's a meeting ground of all kinds of disciplines, not just computers and automatic programs and things like that, but physical things that run around and do stuff, as well as what does it mean to be intelligent or to go out and do things. So I thought I'd go back a little bit and consider some impact we've had on this from Western intellectual tradition. It sounds pretty highfalutin. To get real basic, sort of way back in a lot of the origins, even in Genesis, there's this quote, "So God created man in his own image." And if you think about that, as sort of an impulse coming our way from history, well then if God's going to create man in his image, well then of course man would be making things in his image. And that's kind of recursive, which is a computer science deal. But in fact, it's also, this just hit me this morning, so I thought I'd put this in. It's ab initio, see, AI. It really means from the beginning. And in fact, what I started worrying about was what AI could really mean across lots of things. And the other thing that you might take from that is that it's artificial image, trying to create something that's like things you know about, like dogs or even ultimately things that act intelligent like people. And some people, when they hear this, they take a very strong negative stance. And they take it as an arrogant insult. That's AI. What it means. Now, one thing they can't call us is anti-intellectual, right? Because we're in fact trying to create intelligent things. And in fact, we're onto something here in that if you think about people, they have certain freedoms. And again, that's something that drew me into this, which is that you're really dealing with autonomous individuals, more AI. And in fact, that's what a Mars rover is. It's something that's up there, it's alone, it's got to survive, do its thing, solve its problems, and it's autonomous. Okay, so maybe creating something that runs around and acts like a person is very difficult. We could start simpler, like maybe spiders or roaches would be easier. So, okay, artificial insects. It's not bad, and that's something that we might could do. But in fact, why build more annoying creatures? Why don't we build stuff like a Schwarzenegger roach, a Terminator kind of thing, looks for the nest, and is really anti-insect, right? Well, I know you've explored Mars with your software, and we haven't built a lot of insects at Utah, although there's a big robotics program. We have built some rovers, and so I thought what I would do is come up from the insect level. We're still trying to struggle higher, but show you a couple of tapes of some of the efforts that have gone on at a little bit higher level, things that roam around and do try and collect things. So let me start this first tape. This first tape is really something done at MIT, and it's kind of fun. It starts with the simulation side, mainly. It's going to be tough for this tape to see. So I don't know what I can do about it. I rotate the tape. If it will move. It will move. Okay. At least that far. Does that help most everybody? Okay, well, this is a real robot, and it's dreaming about, of course, simulation robots. And so this is some of the early work done on things that could roam around and move around that were legged as opposed to wheel-legged. And I thought it was kind of cute tape, so I thought I'd put that here. This is some of the things that go on in the robots. So this is the little guy dreaming about himself being out in. This group also has had some parts in some movies. So we're just trying to keep up with the Mono Brood. Let's see. There's just this one scene at the end that I got to get to. At any rate, the thing about this was that the simulation is really picking up. They're modeling the physics of what goes on, so that as these things bounce, they bounce pretty realistically. In fact, the actual thing was dreaming about being able to do somersaults. Oops. So you can see we're still missing a few things. And you notice that one was also what we call tethered. It has a wire running from a computer to it. What we wanted to build, we participated in something called the robot competition. And I'm going to show you a tape of where we were working on this thing. It's a 3-day competition. You take your robot, it's a mobile robot. It's trying to pick up tennis balls, and then these squiggle balls that run around on their own. So it has to track them down and catch them. And I don't know if anybody will recognize this guy. Anybody recognize that guy? Where'd you go? See his shoes? Well, that's a guy named Scott Morris. I heard his brother might be in the program this year. There we go. So Scott started working with me right out of his senior year in high school. I basically dragged him in and we started working on this robot. It has a camera, it has sonars, and it can roam around. And it's got a little laptop on top that drives it. And it tracks these balls down and grabs them. So, for example, it's going to grab that tennis ball. And Scott was an instrumental part of that. He worked on the vision side as well as the robotic side. So this was a test where we were running our robot around trying to make sure that it could, on its own, recover from mistakes, go find the tennis balls. It's got to collect them, and it's got this weird little box here. Let's see, this weird little box that has little things that bend one way, and once it's like a crab trap. Once the balls get in, they can't get out. So it roams around and just runs over the balls, and that's how it traps them. And then it goes and delivers them into a pen. This was the competition, was to gather these things, find them, and so on. So I thought I'd show you, we spent 3 days getting this thing to run, basically. It was kind of an ordeal, most of it. And then, the final day, what they did is they, of course, brought in the big guns. I guess he's a big gun. Alan Alda came along, and he does some show, which is like, I think, Frontiers of Science or something like that. And I hope PBS doesn't mind that I recorded a little bit of it. But I thought I'd show you. They showed several of the robots in that show where they talked about what was going on in this competition. And This is the one before us from Minneapolis. Let me get the sound up here. This is ours. See, ours told what it's doing.
It gathers tennis balls, but it's too slow to get squiggle balls. In a piece of luck, it runs into one by accident.
Did you hear that? In a piece of luck.
Against all odds, the second squiggle ball runs into the collector as well.
Against all odds. This guy. It made me think of another term, though, for our work, which is accidental intelligence. This is a really hot one from, they put University of Bonn, but it's really Carnegie Mellon University of Bonn. They built this thing especially just to go around, roam around on tennis courts and pick up tennis balls. So they intend to commercialize it. And it's smart enough, it can push right up against the wall and sweep them in.
It's annoying for the team because their efficient machine can track and catch squiggle balls on its own.
Yeah.
And it has a special strategy for those hard-to-get balls placed along the edge.
That's where we lost. We came in third. We came in behind this one and the next one you'll see. Because we couldn't get the balls on against the wall. We just couldn't push and ram our vehicle up into the wall. It was too dangerous for really for the people that were standing around. The next one I want you to see because it was the most loved of all the robots there. This one.
Best for last. There it goes. Whoa!
This little thing was like a little squirrel. It basically looked for tennis balls by color. And it had these little hands in front. So once it spotted it, it just rushed over to it and goes, bleh. And then it would go back home, and drop it off. And they're going to show it track a little squiggle ball over here, I think.
It's like a cat chasing a mouse.
See, it just follows it around and just ultimately corners it. Boom! So,
It seems like a victory dance is actually a dumping corner down too far for the robot.
he said it a little bit earlier. I'll stop there. He said that this robot seemed almost alive. And so, you might take that also as a direction we're headed. Alive intelligence. You want something that actually is robust enough to deal with stuff that comes up. But anyway, if you look at all these things we've done, and you actually try and make them run day in and day out for a week or a month, you'll find out that they're not very robust. And in fact, one thing you can conclude still today is that AI might be almost impossible. This is difficult stuff to do. And for some people,
Tom, I appreciate you coming.
You press the record button.
Okay, this is what you've been waiting for. Now, I have to say something here. When Mary set up this lunch this morning, she told them they could put the desserts on the table. And the first question was, can we trust them not to eat any? And Mary said, no. So you're welcome to eat your dessert. I should have said that a long time ago. We'll have the rest of your lunch shortly. Excuse me, this thing is a bit awkward. Okay, awards. Every year we do awards. We select the students who we feel have excelled among the rest of the group, and that's not easy to do, I might add, in the two areas. First, computer graphics, and secondly, in expert systems. And for the students who come out on top, we have certificates in both of those areas. And then we combine the results of those two sets of decisions, and we select students who excelled in both areas, and those students are awarded scholarships at the University of Utah. So, let me start with graphics. Make sure I've got these in the right order. Okay. We were able to narrow down to 4 the top students in the computer graphics area. And I wish those 4 students would come up here when I call your names and get a certificate. Alphabetically, Leon Gallegos, Alan Hines, Jonathan Hopkins, and Jerem Nelson. the average quality is
Doesn't make a difference.
extremely high this
We're
year.
pushing.
And I think a lot of students came here knowing what they wanted to do and started early and really went for it. I want to mention 4 other students who also did an excellent job, but weren't quite at the level of the ones that I mentioned. Those 4, Richard Stewart and Jeffrey Whitehead, we would call those honorable mentions and mention your names honorably. Congratulations. Okay, our awards, Excellence Awards in Expert Systems. Again, we chose 4 students whose rovers excelled in a number of different ways, and we looked at various aspects. I should say also that the modeling choices were made by some of the teaching assistants in the program who worked with the students all summer and knew what kind of efforts they put in, but also experts in the Alpha One modeling system who really understood how difficult it is to do certain kinds of things. And so the complexity of the models, as well as the overall look of the model, were what they were judged on. And some of you who haven't been involved with the Alpha One system probably don't appreciate the complexity aspects, but that's an important part of what was used to make decisions. Similarly, with the expert systems, we had people who are experts in expert systems, the people who did the instructing, as well as some of the teaching assistants who worked with the students on their expert systems. I'd like to invite to come up here Matthew Allgood, Brad Barb, Brian Call, and Cody Sims.
Dave, excuse me 1 second. Can you guys just all stand there for a second?
Mary brought her camera, and we should do that with the graphics guys too.
Okay.
So why don't you get a picture of these 4? You want to come forward?
Yeah, definitely.
He's also our official photographer.
Can you guys make it a little bit closer?
Could the graphics, the 4 graphics, I guess 3 of you are here. Could you come up here and let's get a picture while we're chatting together? While they're coming up, let me just say that there were some folks that we want to mention honorably in the expert system area as well. Brian Wren, Phil Richardson, and Tavish Robinson. Okay, those who excelled in both areas, if you were paying attention, you might be able to guess one. We combined the scores of the 2 as best we could, and it seemed that there were 2 students who did extremely well in both areas. And so we are awarding 2 scholarships. In addition, a plaque for those students to hang on their wall. And one of our sponsors, again, thanks to Mary, is Crossroads Plaza. And they gave us a couple of gift certificates, so we decided we'd put these in with your plaques. In case you decide not to come to the university, at least you'll get something to take home. Okay, I won't keep you waiting any longer. Jonathan Hopkins and Tavish Robinson. Both from
Can you guys move a little?
Take advantage.
If you guys don't want those gift certificates, just let me know. I'll be glad to take them off your hands.
Okay. congratulations to all of you and to the rest of you. Many did excellent jobs. As I said, these aren't easy decisions to make. I want you to know that. You have some great students here, and we appreciate your letting us have them for 5 weeks this summer. Just some general information. I don't know if the folks are here to serve lunch, but go ahead anytime. I'm just going to tell you some things just so that you will be aware of what possibilities are for the rest of the summer. Your computer accounts will be left open at least another month, at least until your school starts, but not until our school starts in late September. They have to clean out the accounts to start before the beginning of the school year. But if you want to work more on your models or your rovers or come in and use the computers for whatever, that's fine. Remember, there are classes using the computers. You may find the labs to be busier as the summer goes on for the next month. If you find that room 224 is full, just go downstairs in room 130. There's another lab. Your door cards will open the doors and you can get in and use those computers as well. If you have a model that you're still working on, you're welcome to submit your model again later on, or submit an additional model or whatever. Send us email and let you know that you've done that. We will get some photographs of those models, and typically what we do is make individual photographs as well as collages, groups of 4. We'll send groups of 4 to everybody, and the individual pictures just to the person who made the picture. And those should be coming sometime after we shut the accounts down, so in September sometime. We'll mail those out to you. The the High School Computing Institute program has, not every year, but some years, had a workshop in the winter time. We hope we'll be able to do that this winter. It depends on a lot of factors that have to come together. But we hope we can get you together one more time as a group and work on a project that'll be fun for a one-day session. A Saturday usually is when we do it. So I hope we'll get you here for that. We hope you'll come to the high school programming contest that we hold here in March every year. Help us get teams together from your school so that we can see you all again for that as well. Regardless of whether you come back again for either of those events, we'll be sending out applications to to the schools sometime in the winter. Typically not as early as I should, but we'll usually get them out sometime in the March timeframe. You're our best advertising, so please, we'll send you copies of the application forms so that you can get them out to friends in school or to other students who you think might be interested. So we'd appreciate your talking it up and letting the people know, the top students in your school know about the program, and hopefully you can tell them that you had fun and that this is something that they ought to be doing as well. And we'll be in touch with you on that sometime later on. Beyond that, I hope you'll all come to the University of Utah, obviously. You're a great group. But wherever you go, we hope that you will enjoy doing some of the things that you've learned about this summer. Using computers in science, math, and engineering is just as good as using computers as an end in themselves. And we've tried to expose you to a number of those different possibilities this summer. And in addition, I hope you'll let us know what you're doing. Keep in touch. Email is everywhere. They even have email down at that school to the south. I can never remember the name. So let us know where you are and what you're majoring in and how it's going, and let us know if there are things that you feel positively or negatively that resulted from this program. Finally, the one thing that you need to remember: door cards. I said I'd send you pictures, not until I get your door card. Got it? You can keep the door cards for another month or so, but you need to either leave them with Mary or me in the office, or stick them in an envelope and send them back to us. If, when we're ready with pictures, we don't have your door card, we'll send you a message that says, "Send your door card." So, good. All right. Thank you all, have a good lunch, and you're welcome to take off when you're done.
No, that's what I came over to remind you.
Okay, we have an envelope here for each of you, so when you leave, you can come by the table here and grab it. But let me just show you the T-shirt. We made a composite of two pictures. The students have seen these, but the top one is a set of clocks or timepieces, I guess is a better word, with a clock and an hourglass and a sundial. That's a composite of those three. That was designed just for the T-shirt, and guess what? You won. There was another student who actually there were an odd number of students. The final vote differed by one, and I don't even remember which one was higher, but we decided that was close enough. It's a black widow spider, and Robert McDermott composed the two into one image, which will be on the front of the T-shirts. Back of the T-shirts is our little advertisement for our sponsors, Summer Computing Institute, 1997, etc. So, hope you'll enjoy these and wear them with pride. Let me just mention, really important, I guess this is for moms, be careful when you wash them. Do not put these in hot water. The picture will shrivel up. It won't look very good. Sometimes they crack. So be really careful, just cold water.